Hi guys, it's Sarah from Losing It For Me 42, and I just wanted to kind of hop on here to talk about some things that happened on Friday. Today's Sunday. I tried filming yesterday, but my phone kept giving me errors and fucking up. So Friday was a day. It was quite the day. So the first thing that happened was I, of late, have been really trying to put myself out there and to make more friends. To try to make friends because a combination of things have happened over time. Not all of it is really so much related to my weight as just my life got busy, I got busy, I went to school full-time, worked full-time, I didn't have time for friends. I didn't have time to socialize or keep track of people or pretty much anything. And then when I graduated, I threw myself into work because I was trying to build a career and really prove myself at my job and all sorts of stuff. And now that things are a little bit more relaxed, I am refocusing on myself. I really have had and being more social, more active, not just active as in going, lots of physical things, but just active as leaving my house. And so I've been trying to put myself out there. And I've spoke about this before, I have a lot of issues when it comes to that, making friends and things like that I'm terrible at it because in the end I always feel like no one wants to be my friend, and I know exactly where in my psychological history and all of the different points has caused this insecurity. And so I've been dealing with that insecurity a lot, where my brain, the bad part of my brain, tells me that no one wants to be my friend, and so therefore I'm just bothering people and I should go away and leave them alone. So I decided of late to put myself out there and to ignore that part of my brain and try to make more friends. And one of the people I tried to make friends with basically indicated on Friday that I was overstepping my bounds and that he was not interested in being friends. And I was like, oh, okay. I'm going to go back in my hole now. I've been processing it this weekend, trying to deal with it and work through it, and realize that it just because someone doesn't want to be your friend doesn't mean you're a bad person, just means they don't want to be your friend, and that's fine. A lot of just, I'm working through that. I'm trying to not, I am retreating a lot. I've been retreating for a while now, but because of these feelings, I very much I don't engage. And I know that it's a catch-22. The more I don't engage, the less people want to spend time with me because I don't seem interested. I don't engage with them on a regular basis, and so they go, oh, and then I fade away. Happens all the time. And I'm aware of the behavior. I'm aware of the mental work I need to do to kind of overcome it, and I'm working on it. But right now, I just feel embarrassed and guilty and just meh about the whole situation. So that was early Friday. Then later on in the day, I had been contacted by one of my ex-boyfriends, who I haven't spoken to in 15 years, and on Friday, I got a text going basically that he was just going to randomly show up at my house. I was really uncomfortable with that, but I just kind of wanted to get the whole situation over with. And so he showed up, and we talked, and And, I mean, there was a whole pretext to it, but, we ended up, like, sitting down and talking for a while. Probably, like, at least an hour and a half. And, like, it wasn't stressful. It was rather easy. I mean, we had been best friends for a very long time, and this was a very big X for me. This was, really my first, real relationship, my first intense relationship, and, yeah, so, we hadn't seen each other in over probably, like, at least 15 years, and I had a lot of mental stuff that I'm gonna have to process for a while over it. One is, like, this was somebody who, in my mind, was always, like, this big, your first real intense boyfriend and, relationship, and where the first person you say you love and all of that kind of stuff, and when you're young and stupid. At least I was. And that was a really, like, a big thing in my head, and kind of seeing the current reality of that really just diminished everything that those memories, like, when you remember your childhood, whatever, home, hangout spot, whatever, and you go there and you're like, yeah, it's not what I remember. That's really what it was. In a lot of ways, when I posted on Instagram, like, I definitely, won, whatever it is about winning, but I look better, my life is better, like, if you want to compare to somebody else, like, between the two of us, I was winning, and that was nicely reassuring, but the things, the emotional processes that I've been going through have nothing to do with him. It was very much like he, just by being there, not doing anything, he held up a big mirror to my life and made me look at my life and what I have accomplished and who I am 15 years later. I am nowhere near the person I was when I was with him. I'm a very different person. Both good and bad. I was happier, I think. I suffered from suicidal depression at the time, so I don't want to say, like, I'm happier, but I think I was a little bit more, in some ways, carefree, but that comes with, being young and youthful and not knowing all of the tragedies that I've experienced in my life. But it was a very big look into of myself, and forced me to really see my accomplishments, which, should elate me and make me feel happy, but my accomplishments don't do that for me. I have a lot of issues accepting accomplishments as positive things. Like, I want to accomplish them, but when I have accomplished them, I'm like, yeah, but I got other things to do. Which is always a big thing for me. I don't celebrate accomplishments. I don't give myself that necessary it's just how I grew up. We didn't do that. I didn't get celebrated for anything. So it's definitely something I'm aware of. And so, like, all of my accomplishments, it makes me feel something, and I'm not used to feeling something about it. So So it's been a weekend as all of this like has come flooding in, and I'm having to deal with a lot of emotional stuff, a lot of stuff that I was really uncertain about, and I'm still uncertain about. I will say, like, one of the best and happiest things that came out of it was that I realized how special my relationship is with my current boyfriend. That he was the first person in my life to not only give me space to grow and didn't try to control that growth, was the first person to really encourage me to be me. He didn't have requirements of me. He didn't have, like, limitations or anything like that. It was very much like, just go be you. I love who you are, and I will be there through everything. And you want to dye your hair whatever color, that's great. You want to cut all your hair off, I love long hair, but that's fine. You want to go to school and work full time and never see each other? Sure. It sucks, but I will do whatever I need to support you. And kind of seeing that and realizing, like, how different that was from any other relationship I've ever had was very enlightening and very heartwarming to me. I've been with my boyfriend for 15 years. A lot of that stuff you don't think about on a regular basis. Unfortunately, a lot of the day-to-day stuff gets in the way of thinking about the big picture. And when you think about the big picture, you're thinking about, like, typically, like, future big picture. But this really kind of put a lot of our relationship history into perspective and focus, and it was very enlightening, very interesting, very heartwarming. In fact, it was kind of funny because, like, I texted my girlfriend and I was like, yeah, this just happened. And I was like, I gotta have to tell my boyfriend when he gets home. And she's like, don't do it. You let your ex in your house when your boyfriend wasn't there. And I was like, I know, I feel really bad about that. But I tell my boyfriend everything. So I was like, I kind of have to tell him. So I did, and he was perfectly fine with it. And was like, he was shocked, but he wasn't pissed. He wasn't upset. He was like, I trust you. And that was very nice. Usually he has a lot of jealousy issues, but, the fact that I told him, I think, was the thing where he's like, yeah, you just told me about it. You wouldn't have told me about it if something had happened. So, yeah, it was very, like, a lot happened, and it's a lot of emotional processing, and there's a lot to it that I'm not, about me, that I'm not certain about. I realize that I'm a lot colder than I used to be. I'm a lot harsher than I used to be. And honestly, that comes from just having to deal with so much in my life. And what I realized was that when I was younger and in my late teens, early 20s, most of my friends were drama and dumpster fires and, just like, oh, extremes of all types. And I'm like, I don't like that anymore. I don't cultivate friends like that. I tend to stay away from people, not who are not going through stuff, but people who seek that out, to seek out that extreme like being, because it's just not pleasant. And my ex was very much still in that way of life. And I realized in some ways it was a real wake-up call, because I'm 38. As my cousin pointed out to me, she's a day older than me. She literally pointed out to me, she's like, we're practically 40. She's like, we're fucking adults. Like, I know it's hard to admit, and I think it's because there is no, at least from my experience in a lot of, like, this generation, there is no graduation point where you become an adult. There is, like, literally, there are times, I had a Facebook thing come up with a memory of when we got furniture delivered to our house, and I was like, I have grown-up furniture. This was 4 years ago. I was 34 talking about grown-up furniture. And that I felt like a grown-up because I had grown-up furniture. And I don't think, in a lot of ways, at least in my current generation, that we ever feel like we're so much adulting, that we ever really grew up, that we take on all the adult responsibilities and do all the adult things, and, like, you know, we go to bed on time and we get up for work and we do all those things, but there's a certain level of not ever having, like, that moment where I guess you just expect someone to go, and now you're an adult. That coming of age kind of thing, and it doesn't really happen. I don't know if it ever really happened, but it definitely doesn't feel like it happened. It didn't felt like it happened when I graduated college, which I did older, or anything. Got my first job, still felt like a kid. And one of the things I can say is, looking at the difference between my ex's life and my life, I realized I am an adult. I'm not still living that teenage dumpster fire life of drama and not taking responsibility for things and all of that. And I just realized, like, I don't want that in my life. I don't need that in my life. I'm perfectly happy without it in my life. I enjoy, call me an old fogey, I enjoy calm and stability and just, you know, having good times with my friends, but not like any of the extreme emotional swings that used to be, where you would get your heart broken 1 minute and then you would be madly in love in the next, and this is your friend, but they're talking behind your back, and so then you're getting into a fight, and just none of that appeals to me. I'm very calm and chill, and that was very eye-opening for me. So I had a lot of moments. I did some calculations, and I realized that I have now lost a little over 80% of my excess body weight from when I started. And again, it's one of those things where I never feel accomplished. I never feel like I have exceeded where I imagined I would end up having the surgery. I expected to get to 220.